change election rules to stop donations by crypto. Do you think that's specifically an attack on you and your party, especially considering the donor who is a big crypto investor? And I wonder, you read out one letter there and you said you had others.
Yeah.
How many of your former pupils have written to you?
I've had half a dozen letters from people I was at school with. There may be more in the email system somewhere. I don't know. I've had other letters from the school which I'm just not going to make public, because you'll chase after them and make their lives a misery. So I shan't do that. Look, we are the only political party that even understands the 21st century revolution that cryptocurrencies are. We've already published our white paper for what we do to make London a centre for crypto trading. I have been to meet the Governor of the Bank of England, whose attitude towards stablecoins frankly belongs, well, not even to the 20th century, but way back to the 19th century. There are currently 7 million holders of digital assets in this country. That is, in fact, I think that may actually have gone up since the 7 million. It'll be 10 million within the year. 1 in 4 under 30s have confidence in digital assets, and yet the Conservative and Labour parties literally don't understand what we're even talking about. And we are being left behind. Being left behind on AI, being left behind on data centres, being left behind on crypto, massively behind on robotics. I mean, to a level you can't even believe. And we are the only party that actually gets this, understands this, wants to embrace this. But we've been resisted by the Bank of England, we're being resisted by the FCA, we're being resisted by the Labour Party, resisted by the Conservative Party. But I think we're on the side of what is a major, major attitudinal change to money, and dare I say it, sovereignty at an individual level. And as one that was famously debanked and have now recently been de-accounted and de-insured and de-pension platformed, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. So we're the first political party to say, yes, of course, you can donate to us in crypto, and I think the statement that the Labour Party have made on this is aimed directly at us, and goodness knows what other horrors the elections bill will have when it's published at some point. This government has no respect for liberty, freedom or democracy whatsoever, and they're doing everything they can to save their own skins. But we absolutely believe that cryptocurrencies are a vital part of our economic future, both for Britain and for the free world, and for individuals who want to have control over their own money, where government or banks acting under political influence can't damage their lives. And I say that personally with a very, very high degree of passion. Jack Elsom from The Sun, who broke this story last night. I'm too busy to speak to them. I'm too busy to speak to them. Okay. Their double standards are absolutely contemptuous. I've had enough. And then you might think, yeah, I mean, you might say I actually mean that.
You ruled out a pact with Conservatives, and instead said that anything would be some sort of engineering of a reverse takeover. But at what point, when you accept so many former Conservatives into your rank, do you become exposed to the claims that it's not them being taken over, but it's you?
Well, no, because actually we have free will, don't we? You know, I don't have to welcome the Dean Dorries into the party. I don't have to, welcome in anybody into the party, certainly not into a role. So we will take people into the party who we think can add to us. And one of the points that I made at our conference back in September is, we've all got strengths and weaknesses. Our biggest weakness is a lack of experience. Richard Tice, myself, Zia, Leila Cunningham, of our frontline people, none of them have ever actually been at the coalface of government. So we want it, and that's why Danny Kruger was really important to us, because Danny had worked inside leaders' offices and number 10 for prime ministers and as an MP for basically 20 years. Danny knows more about how it works in number 10, what the interactions are with the civil service. So, and the same goes the same goes at county level. If you get a complete set of virginal councillors walking into County Hall, you've probably got a bit of a problem. You need people with experience of politics, experience of life, experience of management, who've been there before. So look, we will not become the Conservative Party 2.0. And as far as pacts are concerned, well, I made the point, that I sort of half-jokingly say we might do a reverse takeover, but I think that after May next year, when you're all sitting here in a room like this, you'll have a very different view of the question you just asked. Because I think next May marks the moment when the Conservative Party, after a good run of 200 years, ceases to be a national party. They are going to be obliterated in Scotland. They are going to barely exist in Wales. And if you look at where the local councils are taking place, the counties that will now go ahead are all Conservative held. I believe we're going to do phenomenally well in those counties, as we did in the 10 that we won a clear majority in, the other 2 that we're the main party in. And you look at where thousands of council seats are being fought. Gateshead, Newcastle, Barnsley, Sandwell, Wolverhampton. I genuinely think that, when we sit here on May the 8th next year, you'll all take a very different view. They will not be a national party. It's the view I take. We'll see whether I'm right. That's what we're working towards. Daniel Martin from The Telegraph.
Hello, Daniel Martin from The Telegraph. You've criticised Labour's plans on trial by jury.
Yes.
Would you commit to reversing them if you get into government?
Yes.
Okay. And
yes.
then also
It's an absolutely fundamental freedom. It is our last protection against the state. I think it's absolutely... and by the way, of course, there are flaws with the jury system. There are flaws with whatever system you come up with. But, the idea of this is to cut court time. I was in court recently. Nice chap, crossed the channel, wanted to kill me, normal sort of drill. And I was amazed how much hanging around there was. We were due to start at a certain time. Why didn't we start? Serco might deliver the defendant late. Is one of the reasons I was given. Apparently this happens almost every day. And frankly, if they wanted to clear the backlog of minor cases, then I tell you what they ought to do. They ought to reopen all those magistrates' courts that have closed up and down this country. They ought to appeal to the retired lay magistrate to say, come back, help us deal with this. It's about 80,000 cases now, I think, that we're roughly backed up. They should appeal to that. And frankly, there's no reason why our Crown Courts, for the slightly more serious cases, there is no reason why they can't work from 7 in the morning till 10 at night to clear this backlog and to abolish a right to devalue something called Magna Carta, which, you know what, we're actually admired in many parts of the world for being the author of this very idea of individual liberty and freedom from a potentially overwhelming state is, I think, a very poor and frankly sick excuse. Let's go to Jonathan Walker from the Daily Express.
On what you've said, that you don't support the changes to local councils, does that include the creation of mayors? Do you think that these mayors should not exist? And would a reform government abolish them? And would you bring back first past the post for elections?
We do not have the power to stop this local government reorganisation. We don't have the power to stop the mayors being put in place in these counties. I accept that. I regret it, and I've made my point passionately, I think, about a small, quite rural district